Patience, the calming acceptance that the way you thought something was going to happen will in fact happen a different way. So this is a story about how I learned and built my patience. So throughout my journey of creating my own blueprint for myself, joyful living and loving, turning any breakdown into a breakthrough, and successfully navigating and executing my bounce back story, I created a song. I'm an artist, so as artists, we like to express ourselves creatively. So I was on the path of my bounce back story, but I needed to write a song to create it. I took any Jill Scott fans out there? So if you are, you probably know the song "Free Like." Free Like. And I just love that song. I just thought it was such a smooth groove. And I always thought it'd make a really cool hook to a rap song. And so I wrote some spoken words, some poetry, and I was like, let me take that song and change the words around. Still keep the free like, but change the words around, change the melody up. And it's almost like a homage to that beautiful song by Jill Scott. And so that was I had the hook, I had the spoken word, I was gonna rap some of it, I was gonna do it as spoken word actually, of performing it in that way. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a live band. I want some live instruments, some live musicians with a songstress. And I was just that's going to, the songstress will sing the hook. I will do the spoken word and the rap, and the musicians will create, a dope song, and it'll be amazing. And so while I'm looking for musicians and the songstress, I realized, like, man, the songstress is really the most important person, the first person to find. And so as you know, I teach oral expressions at Columbia College, and it was story day. And the student came in, we'll call her Michelle. So Michelle comes in and she decides to sing her story. And it's a story about friendship and about sometimes how you can't trust people. And it was just amazing. And one of the students said it, they're like, you sound like Amy Winehouse. And she did. And something in my head said, this is my songstress. I have found her. And it's like when it happens that way, it's just like, man, this is like divine. This is coming from God. You know what I mean? This is too good to be true. She's right here in my class, so talented. And, I was going to pay her for it. We talked about it. She, I sent her the song. She liked it. And, I remember like before the semester, and she was like, it takes me a while to lay down the track. And I was like, man, we'll work it out. No big deal. So she goes home for the break before we can record the song. Like, no big deal. But I still I was like, I know it's her. So it was like, man, 4 or 5 weeks, and I waited. But also, we were still working on putting it together and producing it. And, I had a musician turn me down. I wanted a violin player, and he wasn't able to, he wasn't interested in doing the project. So I was like, I kind of saw you doing this, but no big deal. So my songstress comes back, Michelle, and I'm like, cool, we can set this up and make this happen. And I contacted her like, hey, let's still do the song. I want to make this happen with you. And she's like, I got this, I got a busy semester. I got this going on, that going on. And nutshell, like, no, I'm not going to do your song. And it hurt, it really, really hurt. But I had to accept it. I just had to accept that that's what it was. I wasn't discouraged, but it hurt a little bit. So I just said, I'm going to get the song done. I don't know how, but we're going to make it happen. Meanwhile, a friend of mine works at Oak Park Library. He asked me to actually be a person that would show a video to the audience that comes and lead a discussion on what was talked about in the video afterwards. So it was me and a young lady named TJ. And we volunteered and we led the discussion afterwards. And we exchanged information. She's a singer musician, said she had a studio at home. So I had contacted her about using the studio at home. She quoted me a price and things went along, and contacted her again, and she has a new job at the Boys and Girls Club, the James R. Jordan Boys and Girls Club that's down the street from the United Center. And she says, we have this thing called Notes and Notes, or Notes for Notes. And we got a studio, we got 2 studios, a podcast studio, a regular studio, and we have a stage. And she was like, come take a tour. And I was like, all right, cool. And she knew about the song, obviously. So I took a tour, and I was like, man, this is pretty much a professional studio. And I asked if I could, create the song with the students there at the Boys and Girls Club. And she said, yeah. So I was really excited. I'm a teacher, so I put my whole lesson plan together, not thinking that, the Boys and Girls Club, the kids go there after school. So the last thing they really want is something rigid like a class. And I created this whole thing like it was going to be a class. Like we warm up like in some creative musical ways and rhythmic ways, and then create the song. And it just didn't work out that way. We went around and we asked people, and a lot of people weren't interested, to be honest with you. But we found a few people, and the first young man, his name is Cleveland. He actually came in with me. He creates the beat with the pen and a tape. I'm talking about old school. You ever done that in the cafeteria in the lunchroom? You know what I'm talking about, right? Old school. So he creates the beat there. And Devon, he's on the machine that creates the beat, the computer, and he creates the beat based off the sound that he heard from here. So we got a beat, we add some stuff to it, and some of the one of the singers, she was cool, but you could tell she was a little not the most confident in her voice, but she had a great, beautiful voice. We found this other young lady, and she was 14, and Messiah, she fearless, beautiful singing voice, got the song, figured out the song very quickly, and laid down her track, and um, it was amazing. And we also had Dexter. Dexter came in and he sang on the hook. I gave him the last verse. It's a very short verse. It's like 4 lines right after the hook, and he took that verse and he rapped that on the song, and I did the rest of the spoken word and the rap, and we put together a song at the James R. Jordan Boys and Girls Club. And so we recorded it, we performed it for a small group at the Boys and Girls Club, and it's going to be on their SoundCloud. Probably is already is on their SoundCloud. So it's called Free Like. I'm really, really excited about what happened. It taught me about patience, and it's just amazing how you volunteer, and from the volunteering you make a connection and leads to you producing your first song. So I'm more of a theater artist, but it won't be my last song. So here to present to you my song, our song, Free Like. Peace.